and welcome to part 2 of my Learn Japanese with Genki series. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand what the particle wa means in its very basic form. You will be able to make short sentences connecting two nouns together using wa.
では始めましょう。
So Japanese language has something that is called particles. Other languages have particles too, but particles play a big part in Japanese grammar. And they're the first thing that you really need to sink your teeth in to be able to form a variety of Japanese phrases. So the very first particle we're going to look at is wa. Now, if you know hiragana, by the way, you should be learning hiragana on your own. I will be including the romaji or the Roman characters for these words in these beginning videos. But as I get, about halfway through the book, I'm probably going to stop using romaji altogether and I'm just going to put hiragana up there. So you should be learning hiragana on your own. I will be putting up a hiragana video if you want to learn from a video as well, but it's best learned with just a bunch of repetition, a bunch of flashcards, apps, etc. But anyway, you may notice that the wa is actually ha, the hiragana ha character. It is, however, when it is particle wa, it is pronounced wa, as if there's a W there. Sometimes, depending on how your text is Romanized, sometimes they Romanize that as ha, which I don't like. I think you should Romanize it as W-A, not H-A, because it is pronounced W-A. It is not pronounced H-A. But note that if you're writing it out in hiragana, or if you're reading it in hiragana, it is ha, not wa. But you pronounce it as wa. Confused already? All right, so it's called particle wa. And we are going to be connecting two nouns together. So the basic structure, mathematically, of a sentence is x1 wa x2 des, period. You notice that little round circle-y thing? That is a maru. That is the Japanese period, basically. So x, in this case, is a noun. So x number 1 is noun 1, x2 is noun 2. So noun 1 wa, noun 2 des means noun 1 is noun 2. So in this case, wa means is with an asterisk, and we'll get to that later as we get to more particles in future videos. But yeah, the very basic way you can think of wa is either is, or my very first Japanese teacher, Muro sensei, she had a way of explaining it that I really like. It stuck with me to this day. Think of it as for ... So if we look at this model sentence, x1 or noun 1 wa x2 des, what we're saying here is as for x1, it is x2. Now that might seem overly wordy, an overly wordy way of describing, well, you're just saying noun 1 is noun 2, but it has that sort of nuance to it. It's if you want to get into more advanced grammar, your textbooks will usually describe wa as what is called a topic marker. You're marking the topic of the sentence, not necessarily the subject of the sentence. So that's why I think the as for this subject makes sense, because it's more like, hey, as for this thing, I'm going to tell you some stuff about this thing because this thing is the topic of the sentence. So that's why I like to think of it as for noun number 1, it is noun number 2. But yes, in simple English, it's just noun 1 is noun 2. So the best way to illustrate this is with some actual model sentences. So here's the first sentence. 私は大学生です. So 私 is the pronoun I or me. 大学生 is college student. So if you know that wa means is, what does 私は大学生です? What does that mean? Yes, I am a college student. So, in English we add, a in there, but Japanese does not have a, an, the, they don't have those things. But it is, I am a college student. Here is another sentence. りは名字です. So, do you remember from the last episode what 名字 is? Yeah, 名字 is your surname or your last name or your family name. took my husband's name, so it is Lee. So Lee is my surname. Notice how in this sentence I do not have the pronoun my. It literally is just Lee is surname, but because I am saying it, it is implied Lee is my surname, unless I were to specify Lee is his surname. You know, if I add other different pronouns to it to clarify, I'm talking about somebody else, not me. But because there's no pronouns in here at all, it's pretty much assumed, okay, well, she's talking about herself. The speaker is saying Lee is my surname. Here's another sentence. 名前はサラです. So do you remember namae from the last episode? That is first name. So my name is Sarah. Now, a quick note also on the way that I have written my name in katakana, or in the Japanese alphabet, basically. Sarah is a very common name, and it's pronounced differently all over the world. So in American English, it is Sarah. The vowel is sa. And then the second vowel is So I think in Japanese, a closer pronunciation would be Sera, not Sa-ra. And while I was living in Japan, that's actually how I instructed people to say my name, partly because there was another Sarah in the exchange student group, and it was easier to tell us apart that way. But yeah, you have to look, if your name is an incredibly common name, the Japanese people might have their own way already of pronouncing it that may or may not be super close to what it actually is. But it's best to just approximate using the Japanese alphabet what your name is going to be like. And I might do a separate video later, like outside of the Genki series, of like how to make your name sound Japanese. But yeah, that's just to explain why it is pronounced Sara in this scenario instead of Sarah. And I find in general, it's a lot easier. They'll understand your name a lot better if you intentionally mispronounce it the Japanese way, rather than just say, Lee Sarah des. They'd be like, Nani? Like, what? Like, what did you say? So it's actually good to pronounce it with Japanese characters in the Japanese alphabet, because it's a lot easier for them to process it and understand it. So, 名前はサラです. Here's another sentence. 日本は国です. Nihon, you might know, it is Japan. And then kuni is country. So Nihon wa kuni desu means Japan is a country. Usagi wa Sailor Moon desu. So if you're a Sailor Moon fan, you know that Usagi is Sailor Moon. In case you didn't already know that, this sentence is telling you so. Sailor Moon wa senshi desu. So Sailor Moon is, senshi is like a soldier or a warrior, a person who fights. So Sailor Moon is a soldier. Sword Art Online wa anime desu. So notice like most of this sentence is actually borrowed words. The Japanese language has a lot of borrowed words. So Sword Art Online is Sword Art Online. It is the title of an anime series, and anime is anime. So Sword Art Online is an anime. It's also a light novel series and game series, but you know, Sword Art Online is an anime. Kore wa pen desu. So this is kind of an inside joke. The first sentence that is taught in English class in Japan is, this is a pen. So, and for good reason. It's a very simple, basic sort of sentence. So basic that we can say it in Japanese with just this very basic grammar rule. Kore is this. And then pen is pen. So kore wa pen desu means this is a pen. Shujin wa sarariman desu. So shujin is master or husband. That's not at all a sexist word. But anyway, it's still used. There are other words for husband, danna, or a lot of times people would just say darin. If you're kind of a cutesy, like 30-something woman like me, I might call him just darin. But yeah, shujin wa sarariman desu. So salaryman is what the English words are, but it doesn't literally mean salaryman. It means like, you know, an office worker, an office drone. So my husband is an office drone. And again, I'm not using the pronoun my in here anywhere, but it's just assumed that because I'm the speaker and I haven't included any other information into the sentence, probably talking about my own husband. He's not a salaryman. My husband's not an office drone, by the way, but sarariman is a very common word, so I use that in the model sentence. Naruto wa ninja desu. So for you Naruto fans, Naruto is a ninja. Suika wa kudamono desu. So suika is watermelon, kudamono is fruit. So watermelons are fruit, or a watermelon is a fruit. Ninjin wa yasai desu. A ninjin is a carrot, yasai is vegetables. So carrots are vegetables, or a carrot is a vegetable. Fun fact, there's not really plurals in the Japanese language either. So people are really confused by that fact when they first learn about that. Like, how do you know if someone's talking about a plural or not? You do oftentimes, by context, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes that doesn't matter. So the sentence ninjin wa yasai desu, I'm kind of speaking generally. As for carrots, they're vegetables. It doesn't really matter if I'm talking about a specific carrot or not. It's carrots are vegetables. A carrot is a vegetable. I'm speaking in general terms, so it kind of doesn't even matter if it's plural or not. Senkou wa nihongo desu. So a senkou is a major, in college. Nihongo is the Japanese language, so my major is Japanese. It's not, but if your major is Japanese, you'd say senkou wa nihongo desu. Kocha wa nomimono desu. This phrase is very near and dear to my heart. So kocha is tea, specifically black tea. And nomimono is a drink, a thing that you drink. So kocha wa nomimono desu is tea is a drink. Sushi wa tabemono desu. Sushi is sushi. Tabemono is a food, a thing that you eat. So sushi wa tabemono desu is sushi is a food. Soba wa menrui desu. So soba you might know if you like Japanese food. Soba is a buckwheat noodle. Menrui is noodle. So soba is noodles. Book wa hon desu. So notice how I'm mixing English words and Japanese words. So what I'm saying here, hon is book in Japanese. So basically what I'm saying is book is hon. So that is the basic structure of how you say one noun is also another noun. You're using a noun basically to describe another noun or to add more information about that noun. And before we review this lesson, if you want to support this series, check out my Patreon. I have a new level called Juku. It's a $19 a month level, and for that level you can get daily emailed out worksheets, extra instruction that goes with this series. So Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, I will email you out worksheets so that you can practice everything that we're doing in these videos, and then you'll email them back to me. I will grade them and return them back to you. It's kind of like having your own private teacher. And you also get some of the other perks from my other tiers of Patreon, so check that out if you're interested in increasing the frequency of the videos in this Genki series. And now on to the review. So I'm going to repeat all of the model phrases and sentences that we covered in this video. I'm going to repeat them 3 times, leaving pauses between each time so that you have a chance to practice saying the phrase yourself. 私は大学生です。私は大学生です。私は大学生です。So for this one, insert your own surname. Don't say my surname. D は名字です。D は名字です。D は名字です。And for this example, insert your own name. Don't say Sarah. 名前はサラです。名前はサラです。名前はサラです。日本は国です。日本は国です。日本は国です。 うさぎはセーラームーンです。うさぎはセーラームーンです。うさぎはセーラームーンです。セーラームーンは戦士です。セーラームーンは戦士です。セーラームーンは戦士です。ソードアートオンラインはアニメです。ソードアートオンラインはアニメです。ソードアートオンラインはアニメです。これはペンです。これはペンです。これはペンです。主人はサラリーマンです。主人はサラリーマンです。主人はサラリーマンです。ナルトは忍者です。ナルトは忍者です。ナルトは忍者です。スイカは果物です。スイカは果物です。スイカは果物です。人参は野菜です。人参は野菜です。人参は野菜です。線香は日本語です。線香は日本語です。線香は日本語です。紅茶は飲み物です。紅茶は飲み物です。紅茶は飲み物です。寿司は食べ物です。寿司は食べ物です。寿司は食べ物です。そばは麺類です。そばは麺類です。そばは麺類です。book は本です。book は本です。book は本です。And thank you so much for watching. Check out the rest of my Genki playlist if you want more videos in this series, or if you feel like you're a little more adventurous or at the intermediate level, you can check out my Learn Japanese by Singing series or my Learn Japanese by Watching Sailor Moon series. Thank you to all my patrons and subs who help make this series possible, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mata ne!